Hello, I'm Rachel Blaney. I'm the Member of Parliament for North Island Powell River, and I am also the spokesperson for Veterans for the NDP. And I'm incredibly proud today to be speaking about a table, Bill C-417, that I tabled in the House today. And I want to thank the folks that are with me today, Joanne Moss, who is the CEO and founder of Canadian Foundation for Animal Assisted Support Services, and the Canadian Veteran Service Dog Unit. We have Sergeant Retired Dwayne Sawyer over here to my left, and Major Sandy Scott, retired, here to my right. So for over 15 years, so many veterans groups and veterans and experts have been asking for service animals, specifically dogs, to be fully incorporated into the Veteran Affairs Canada's mental health rehabilitation program. This is really important because we know for veterans across Canada, many times service dogs make the difference between them staying in their house or actually getting out into the community and participating. We know that provinces and territories have not harmonized criteria for service animals in terms of how they are trained. And this is really important because I've met veterans who, together with their family, have raised well over $10,000 to buy themselves a service dog, only to find out that the service dog that they were promised has not been properly trained, does not have the ability to do the important work. And what is most sad for me is when you meet a veteran who isn't prepared for a service dog that's been provided one after a lot of fundraising, and everything falls apart. And the people who serve our country deserve so much better than that. So this bill, Bill C-417, an act to establish a framework on animal-assisted services for veterans, really looking at the government providing some important work to identify that standard. Right now, there is no service standard that is legislated. The amazing group with Joanne Moss, the Canada Foundation for Animal Assisted Support Services, have created a standard, but it's voluntary. So I appreciate people that are supporting that standard, but because it is voluntary, it doesn't actually hold the teeth that it needs to make sure that those standards are in place. And when we look at Veterans Affairs, often the services aren't there in terms of resources to buy a service dog or to have supports in place for service animals. I think of equine therapy that a lot of veterans are using. Because there isn't clear standards, it makes it hard for VAC to know who to give the money to and when. And what this does is it really makes sure that they don't get the services, and veterans deserve it. So we want to make sure that the framework does important things like set forward third-party accreditation requirements in relation to animal-assisted service providers, provide a structure to benefit veterans who wish to have those animal assistance services, and identify mechanisms to evaluate the service and make sure their compliance with the national standards is top of mind. So until we have those things in legislation, it's going to be really hard to see that implementation happen that we so desperately need to see. So I'm going to invite Joanne to tell you a little bit more because she's definitely the expert in this area. Joanne?
Thank you. Okay, I just want to thank, I'd like to thank Rachel and her team for taking this on because our organization's existed for more than 2 decades, and I'm very pleased to hear that someone's finally listened. Basically echoing what Rachel just mentioned, we now have a national standard of Canada that was developed through consensus-based process. And once that national standard has been referenced in legislation, it no longer remains voluntary but mandatory, which means that Veterans Affairs could definitely have the criteria that they need to establish a framework where when there is a call for funding, for example, there could be an eligibility requirement that the organizations that want funding to provide animal-assisted human services will need to have or be third-party accredited to be able to evaluate and reinforce whether or not they meet the standard. So this private member's bill is essential. It's long overdue, and we're very, very pleased to be able to give voice to this and to work with our veterans and stand alongside them to make a difference. So thank you very much for the time that you're giving this, because it is certainly an important matter, and we really hope to see some major changes in the next little while. Thank you.
Okay. So I do want to say there's a lot of organizations that do incredible work, but until there's a national standard that is not voluntary, it means that people who are not doing a good job take advantage of veterans. So I'm going to ask Major Sandy Scott, retired from Canadian Veteran Service Dog Unit, to come and talk a little bit about his experience.
Thanks.
Thank you, Sandy.
Yes. Hello, my name's Sandy Scott, and I'm with my friend Dwayne here, and we're proud today to be standing with Ms. Blaney, who has been a friend of veterans for many, many years, and we appreciate that. We're here in a nonpartisan way because the legislation that was introduced today is an outstanding framework, and it will protect veterans who've been taken advantage of by various groups, charities, dog trainers, and others. It will protect them, and veterans are vulnerable when they're in need like we've been. I'm also proud to stand today with Joanne Moss, the founder of the Canadian Foundation for Animal Assisted Services. The work that her organization has done is outstanding, and she's been a true friend to veterans and gone a great distance to make sure that we're taken care of. Too many times we've heard stories of veterans applying to a charity that provides service dogs, and the charity says, we have a long waiting list, but if you give us $5,000, you could possibly go to the top of that waiting list. And the veteran never sees a service dog, and they never get their $5,000 back. That's the kind of thing that happens, and that's the kind of thing that needs to stop. We're not doing this because Dwayne and I need service dogs. We're doing this because Dwayne's son's deploying to Latvia in the next few months. We're doing this because we have comrades still in the Canadian Armed Forces. When Dwayne and I returned from Afghanistan, there was nothing available to us, no organized process to allow us to get a service dog. Dwayne and I belong to the Canadian Veteran Service Dog Unit, one of the only veteran-run charities who put service dogs and veterans first. Dog trainers want to work with us because we're good to them, but they work for us. Thank you again, Ms. Blaney, for this outstanding bill, and we look forward to Parliament passing it. Take good care, and thank you to all you veterans out there for your service. Keep your chins up.
Well, I thank everyone, and I just want to say in closing that it is Veterans Week, and we know Remembrance Day is right around the corner. It is so important that we recognize the service that the men and women in uniform have done for us, that we appreciate them and thank them by making sure the services that they need are at home when they come back. And we know that there's actually standards to make sure that no more veterans are taken advantage of, and they get the services that they need with the amazingly trained animals that are out there. Thank you. That's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.